Hello, all you wonderful readers. Welcome back to Shelf Check, brought to you by the Carolina Manga Library. Today we're going to take a walk through the shelves to talk about why did you make me read this? These suggestions will all be examples of books our head librarian was recommended, but she really didn't want to read for some reason or another. Will they be good or bad? Stay tuned to find out. As usual, we're going to recommend several graphic novels and tell you why they are amazing. As a reminder, we are only recommending series that are officially available in the US, either digitally or physically. Today's episode is brought to you by our wonderful patrons. Special thanks goes out to our honorary librarian, Sean Vahek, and our library assistants, DB Explorer, Selwyn Hector, and Bagel. Stay until the end of the broadcast to learn more about joining our Patreon. So with all that out of the way, let's get reading, y'all. So the first book I want to talk about this month is Night Lady and the Beast-Eared Child. Now, I took one look at this series and I was like, oh, this is going to be adorable. I'm glad somebody recommended this to me. I think it's going to be cute. I think it's going to be great. And then I start reading it, and it's a fairly typical, fantasy setting. A female knight finds a little beast-eared child and decides to adopt it and, raise it as her own. It's a kind of really cute premise. And then you realize that the author has a shota fetish, which means there's a lot of super cringy and inappropriate moments between this knight errant lady and this 5-year-old child. It's just drawn in such a way that it's just frigging weird. There's a scene where they kiss, kiss, and it's just weird because the kid's 5 and the other person's a true adult. And it's never said anything in the story. It's never said anything in the dialogue. It's 100% in the art. And I've been told since by a couple of my volunteers that this author has kind of a thing with that. So I was really happy to read this until I got to those points. And now I just feel like I needed a shower. So Night Lady and the Beast-Eared Child. Again, it's a cute story. It's typical fantasy fare, teaching the child. It's got to be a secret that she's teaching the child because it can't be the beast-eared children are illegal or something. There's a million books already out here like this. So if it were me, I would honestly skip this one, skip it completely, unless you are okay kind of glossing over some of the child attraction problems. I didn't like it. Okay, thankfully this next one does not have any weird child stuff in it. So this next one we're going to talk about is I'm a guild receptionist, but I can solo any boss to clock out on time. Yeah, it's one of those. Okay, so it's one of those very typical. It's not an isekai. I was actually thrilled it's not an isekai. It sounds like it should be, but by the title, but it's not. So this is a comedy fantasy, and it was recommended to me by one of my volunteers on one of our numerous car rides. I love our car rides because we drive to all of the conventions that we go to. So I shove 8 people into a Nissan Armada and we drive for 9 to 10 hours to get to all the conventions. So we have a lot of time to kill, and they have to keep me awake because I'm the only one that can drive. So we end up having a lot of discussions on stuff people are reading nowadays. And the person that recommended this one to me, they told me about it and I was like, okay, give me the premise again, because that just sounds so funny. So in this world, there are adventurers, and there's an adventure guild, and there's a dungeon that popped up, and everyone goes through the dungeon and they have to fight the monsters, and then everything goes fairly smoothly. There's a whole guild, and there's an office, so you have to go report your quest and then report you finished your quest and prove it to them, and then they pay you, and everything works fine until one of the bosses on one of the levels is unbeatable. Nobody's powered up sufficiently to go and beat this boss. So it's just constant extra paperwork because people are not finishing their quests on time and they have to get extensions. And our main character is a receptionist at the guild hall, and she is the laziest piece of crap ever. That's the one thing I didn't like about this story is I don't like the main character. I like the premise of the main character. I do not like the personality of the main character. She just very much wants to, she took this job because it's cushy and it has really good health insurance and she gets paid a lot. So then she can just clock out at the end of the day and go home and just lay around in bed and eat good food. That's literally her only purpose for living right now, is to lounge around and be comfortable and just live a fairly sedentary lifestyle. So she gets really ticked off when these bosses are unbeatable until certain superpower level people come along, because it means that she's stuck at work extra hours. She's done a ton of overtime because everyone has to get extensions on the quest because nobody can beat the boss. So secretly, of course, she's a former adventurer who's still registered with the guild under a different name, and she's like super uber power leveled. So whenever it gets too bad, she will put on a disguise and go down and solo whatever boss it is. She'll just like 2 hits and it's dead. Okay. So it's a very funny premise. It just gets more interesting as people try to figure out who this mystery person is, and her trying to keep her fairly secret identity. I was glad I read it. Again, I don't like the main character. I haven't found anything about her yet that I actually enjoy reading about her, but the premise is really funny and the side characters are really funny. So I'm really glad I read this one. It's definitely not one that I would have gone and picked up on my own. So I'm glad I read Guild Receptionist, and I'm probably going to read it again. And I'd be very surprised this doesn't get an anime pretty soon, because it's got everything that anime kids like nowadays. So, yeah. All right, so this next one is called War of the Greedy Witches. So this was actually a Patreon suggestion. If you're not a member of our Patreon yet, no, I'm not going to plug it right now, but you do get to vote every month on the new titles that I buy for the library, because 100% of our Patreon money goes to buying new books for the library. It's how we can actually have stuff that's new for you guys instead of all the old stuff that people donate. I like to have a form of revenue that gets us new books for y'all. So this one was recommended by one of my patrons, and it's War of the Greedy Witches. I didn't like it. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I have never read a more boring, action-packed series. It should not have been boring. The premise is fantastic. Basically, women from history, as they die in whatever horrible way they died, they wake up and they're in hell, and one of the demons of hell is like, okay, y'all are gonna fight to the death now using power. You're all gonna get powers. You're all gonna have this huge gladiator style fight, like tournament style gladiator fight to the death, and whichever one of you is still alive at the very, very end, you're gonna get your heart's desire granted to you. So every single one of them has their own heart's desire. Our main character is Joan of Arc, who has no heart's desire because she was Joan of Arc. The only thing she ever wanted, she achieved in her life. She put the Dauphin of France back on the throne of France, and she defeated the English. So when she died, she was like, I'm good. Just give me my afterlife. I'm good. I don't need anything else. So it's just an excuse to have a whole bunch of women with historical names in skimpy, super tight outfits and a lot of blood and guts and fighting. And it's so boring. It's so boring. I don't know if it's boring because it was in manga form and it would be more interesting if it was, animated, or if it was boring because none of the women have personalities. They're just there to be eye candy. There's no story arc. There's no character arc so far. I was really hoping for more, because the premise sounded pretty neat. I was very interested, and I'm a big history nerd. So as soon as I heard Joan of Arc, I was like, oh, I'm in. And it's just so far, and I'm trying to read it. I promise I've read 3 books of it so far, and I still haven't been able to be interested. So War of the Greedy Witches, if you just like gratuitous violence and tight skimpy outfits, this is absolutely the series for you. If you like your stories with any semblance of character or plot design, this is not the series for you. So War of the Greedy Witches, try it yourself. I could be the unique one. Who knows? Maybe it's actually really good, but I struggle. I'm on the struggle bus with this one. Oy. So this next one is a series called Verses, and I like to keep my ear to the ground of new titles that super, super popular manga artists have come up with after their huge hit. So like whenever Junji Ito comes out with a new series, or like the side stories of Akira Toriyama, or whenever Rumiko Takahashi comes out with something new, or just Tito Kaite, anybody that is like super popular and has a really great series, I'm always interested to see if they're going to be one-hit wonders or if they're going to be something else. So let me tell you the premise of this one. Again, this is called Verses, and I want you to guess to see if you can figure out who is writing this. So I like to describe this one as, we've had one isekai, yes, but what if we had 13 isekai? Then what would happen? So in this world, this fantasy world, the mages and the magicians and the warriors are all fighting this huge army of like monsters, and their magic isn't doing well, and their warriors aren't doing well, and humanity's being beaten back into the cities, and they bastions of humanity, and that's all they have left. Okay, so they're losing the war with the monsters. So the smartest people get together and they think, okay, all right. So we're gonna open up a portal, and we're gonna summon somebody more powerful than us to come and fight the monsters. It's gonna be fine. So they do that, and they send people through they send a group of warriors through the portal into this other world to go find warriors to come fight the monsters. So they come into this world, and it's like a technology type world. It's like a post-apocalyptic like cityscape with they run into this army and this other band of warriors, and they've got like super tech weapons, and they've got like guns and stuff, and it's really cool. And they get to talking, and they're like, okay, so you're gonna come back and help save us, right? And they're like, well, no, we have our own problems here. And so all of a sudden they get ambushed by this huge group of robots, and their guns are useless against the robots, but the magic of the fantasy people is super effective against the robots. So they defeat the robots, and the magic guys are like, yes, okay, cool, now you come back and save our world. And the guys with guns are like, no, we summoned you here to save our world. We're not gonna go save yours. You're supposed to stay here and save ours. And the magic guys are like, no, you're supposed to come back and save our world. We just saved you from this set of robots, so come back and we'll talk, and maybe we can like work something out. So everyone goes back to the magical world, and they go back to the castle, and there's all these strange people at the castle. It turns out that everybody in 13 different realities had the same idea at the same time and opened up 13 portals. And now, because there were so many alternate realities being opened at the same time, all of those realities have now merged into one reality. So now you have monsters and dragons and robots and all the people that fight them, and they're all mixed together in one big place, and now everybody's gonna die because everybody's got weaknesses, and everyone's got some stuff is super effective, some stuff is not. So now you have these 13 super strong like groups of warriors, and they're all fighting each other, and some of them are OP against certain bosses, but then they like get soloed by a little goblin from other boss. It's very, very funny and very, very unique. And if you haven't figured it out yet, it's actually by the author of One Punch Man. So the idea of, being super strong and turning that idea on its head, taking the idea of an isekai and turning it on its head, it's kind of that author's bread and butter. And they do a really good job of it. I picked it up because it was the author of One Punch Man, and I wasn't quite sure what to do going into it because I loved One Punch Man. I thought it was great. I thought it was hilarious. I love it when manga artists kind of take a poke at tropes and trends that are going on, and they say, how about we did this though? So it's really, really fun. I'm really surprised there's not an anime of it yet because it's just teeming with hilarity. So yeah, definitely give Versus a try. I was pleasantly surprised. It's an isekai on steroids that I actually enjoyed. All right, so this next one I actually got from a couple of YouTube channels that I follow that do manga recommendations. This is one of the ways I keep my finger on the pulse. I don't remember which one it was at this point. It might have been Colleen's recommendations, or it might have been Prom G. I literally don't remember. But this is Magical Girl Incident, and this one's a doozy, y'all. Okay, this one. Oh wow, this one. So, Magical Girl Incident is about a guy, regular old dude, works in an office, has worked in an office his whole adult life. He doesn't really buck the boat. He just gets his paycheck and goes home. But he's always told himself that he was meant for something else. Okay, he always wanted to be like a hero or somebody that makes a difference in people's lives. He's always wanted to like beat up a gangster or, save a child from a burning building. He's one of those guys. But he's just a typical salary dude, okay? So one day he's walking home from work, and he's kind of just done with everything. He's got his beer, and he's got his convenience store dinner, and he sees this little kid, and there's this huge shadow thing like chasing this little kid, and the little kid's screaming and crying, and the shadow thing catches the child and is getting ready to eat him. And our protagonist kind of looks down at his dinner and says, well, if I'm gonna go like this. And he throws his dinner down, and he runs at the shadow thing, and he rips off his tie, and he turns into a magical girl. Full on, straight up magical girl, breasts, outfit, magical wand, panties, all of it, okay? Straight up turns into a magical girl. And he defeats the shadowy monster, and he saves the kid, and he wakes up the next morning in his own bed, and he has no idea if it actually happened or not. He has no idea. So he goes to work, and he's completely out of it, and he yells at his boss, and he thinks he's going to get fired, and he's going home again. and he finds another shadow thing, and it's going to eat another kid. And he's like, okay, round 2, brats, here we go. And he runs at the monster and he rips off his tie and turns into a magical girl again. And what he doesn't realize is that his coworker is actually seeing this happen this time. So his coworker now knows that he turns into a magical girl. And so he and his coworker get together and start trying to figure out, why are you a magical girl? How do you turn into a magical girl? How do you turn back into a regular dude? And it's just very, very funny. It's taking the idea of magical girls and, again, just taking the trope and shaking it and seeing what kind of new patterns come out of it. And the very last scene of the book, and this is not really a spoiler because it's literally the last scene, our dude is fighting another monster thingy, and he's losing because it's more powerful, and he gets saved by like a tuxedo mask looking dude. And the tuxedo mask looking dude like cradles our main character in his arms, all, saving the girl, princessy kind of Carrie. And he said, oh, I have found you at last. Now together we will defeat the evil and be happily ever after. And our main character's like, bro, dude. So it's absolutely hilarious. I'm so glad I read it. I cannot wait to read more of it. It's so funny. It's so funny. And it's a regular dude turning into a superhero, which is like the best thing ever. So it's the kind of story that you're going to get into and you're going to laugh your pants off the whole time and you're going to want to know what's going on next. So yes, definitely try Magical Girl Incident. I thought it was going to be like gory and scary like Magical Girl Sight or Magical Girl Apocalypse. But it's so funny. It's so good and so funny. So my last recommendation for this month, this one was actually recommended to me by a Barnes & Noble employee. I walked in with our manga library Patreon money and I said, hey, listen, I need you to help me find, 10 new volume 1s that just came out in the last couple of months that I can add to my manga library. And the dude was like, all right, cool, bet. And he pulls these really weird recommendations off the shelves. And one of them that he gave me was a series called Tank Chair. And I took it home and I looked at the cover and I was kind of put off by the fact that there's this weird looking robot thing in a wheelchair and it looks really badass. And I read the back of it and I was like, oh, goody, hyper ultra violence. This is going to be terrible. So I started reading the darn thing and I did my typical thing where I'm surprised, where I just sat on the couch and started swearing, just like quietly cursing under my breath as I'm reading it because it is absolutely amazing. It's one of the best things I have read all year. So Tank Chair is about a super assassin who he gets in an accident while saving his little sister. She gets kidnapped and he goes to save her and he gets shot in the head. And everyone thinks he's dead, but he's not really. He's just in a vegetative state coma. A catatonic state, excuse me, not vegetative. He's a catatonic state. He just sits in his wheelchair and stares at nothing. And so his little sister comes and visits him every day. And one day she's carrying his lunch and she accidentally drops a steak knife at him. She drops it and it's going to hit him. And just before it hits him, he knocks it out of the way. And she realizes that he's such a good assassin and he's got such good self-preservation skills that if she can threaten his life to the point where he'll wake up. Like if she can get him to the point where he has to move his body to the point where he has to defend himself, he'll wake up from his coma for a little while and he'll be cognizant and he can do things and he can even move a little. He can actually move his arms and he can partially move his spine. So she gets this idea and she's like, okay, so all I have to do is keep getting you assassin jobs against tougher and tougher people. And then eventually your body will just stay awake because you'll be in a constant state of near panic. And the assassin dude's like, that's a great idea. Let's do exactly that. So she lines up jobs for him and they tricked out his wheelchair to be like the ultimate like literal weapon. Like it's got all kinds of guns in it and it's got tank wheels so you can go up walls and it goes really fast and it's just a cool piece of equipment. And he's got like all this assassin gear and he's got this really cool like robot armor and it's just assassin kill after assassin kill after assassin kill. It is funny and stupid and super ultra violent and I loved every single minute of it. I didn't think I was going to like it. I really didn't. I thought it was going to be, dark and stupid and just full of blood and guts and horror. Nope. It's full of heart and a lot of great fight scenes. It's so good. Do you have to try out Tank Chair? You absolutely have to try it. Out of everything else this month, at least go read the first chapter of this, because it was so good. I'm so surprised. All right, welcome to the Q&A section of the podcast where I answer your Ask a Librarian questions from our Discord. If you're not on our Discord yet, you can join it from our website, www.carolinamangalibrary.com. You can also join it by becoming a patron. If you become a patron at any of our paid tiers, you get an instant access to our Discord and to several Patreon-only Discord channels. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and wait till the end of the episode and I'll tell you all about those. So this month's question is, what are some manga trends that you love/abhor? First off, good word. Abhor is a great name. It's just a great word. So obviously, I hate isekai, but that's more of a genre than a trend. But one of my biggest pet peeves about manga trends is something will get okay, so you'll write a story and it'll just pop the heck off in popularity. You know, it'll just be absolutely interesting and it'll sell a ton of books, and then there are like 25 knockoffs the next season of people writing your story with like 3 changes. So I hate that, and that's in every book publishing medium. They do the same thing with YA. There's like 15 Harry Potter knockoffs. There's so many dystopian YA novels. There's like at least 10 new Dragon series coming out because all the Dragon series out now that people are really loving, like Fourth Wing and things. Some of the manga trends I love though are stuff is getting approved now that I would normally never think would get approved. Like, honestly, Versus that I talked about earlier is such a stupid idea. It's such a dumb idea, and I think if anybody except the author of One Punch Man had come up with it, they would have been laughed out of the publishing house. But for some reason, it's just there's some really interesting, unique stories being approved right now, and I'm really glad. And I'm really glad that some like the sports genres, I'm really glad that there's some different sports being done instead of just like soccer or basketball or volleyball. Really, of course, like we talked about before, I'm in love with Medalist. Me and that show are, oh God, this made me crack. But I'm glad that different sports are getting highlights. And there's one about badminton right now that's really good. And there's one coming out pretty soon about pickleball that I just read a preview for. So I'm happy that the sports genre is taking a crack at some new ideas, and I'm also really glad that a lot of older series are being re-released. Like the Unico series by Osamu Tezuka, not only is it's not getting re-released, it's getting rewritten for modern audience, which is a really great idea. We Were Only 13, I think is the title of the series. It's just come back out. Prince of Tennis got a new release. Ashita no Joe got re-released. What just got announced last week? They're gonna reprint Lone Wolf and Cub. So I love it when they take older stories and just re-release them for new audiences 20, 30, 40 years later. Personally, I'm waiting on my From Far Away, and I'm also waiting on another run of Fushigi Yugi. I'd love a new translation of Fushigi Yugi. Oh God. And obviously, they reprint Sailor Moon every couple of years because it's just that good. So yeah, those are some of the manga trends that I love/hate. All right, welcome to the announcements section of our podcast. First off, we have our next summer convention appearance is going to be at MetroCon down in Tampa, Florida. That will be in late July, I believe the 25th and 26th and 27th. Let me double check that real quick. Yes, 25th, 26th, and 27th of July. We will be down in Tampa, Florida. It's I really enjoy this convention. It's easily one of the most beautiful convention centers I've ever been to because it's built right on Tampa Bay. And so you can see the boats going by all day while you're reading books, and you see this huge pirate ship, and it's so pretty. I love MetroCon. But so that one is going to be a little strange because that will be the last convention that I personally attend for the next year or so. The manga library is still going to be traveling. We're going to go to as many shows as we can, possibly even a few more now. But I myself, as the head librarian, will not be attending any of them. So any of you who are looking forward to seeing me at cons later on this year or in early 2026, I'm so sorry. I'm going to miss you horrendously. But I have a really good reason, and that is the fact that I am pregnant. So I will be not able to travel pretty soon. I won't be allowed to travel long distances. And I obviously really shouldn't be running 14, 15-hour days while pregnant. And then, of course, I'll have a teeny person, I'll have a teeny librarian to raise and train and make wonderful. So like I said, manga library is still gonna be traveling. It just won't have me personally at it, and it might mean some delays or even a hiatus from the Shelf Check podcast, depending on how things go. So we will see. Hopefully, you guys will forgive me for having something else to do. I'm sure you all will understand, and I will miss all of you. But I should be back traveling again next summer. And again, the library will be traveling without me. It'll be just the same library that you love, just without the sparkly librarian. So it should be fine, right? Right? Everything's fine. Thanks for joining us in this month's episode of Shelf Check, brought to you by the Carolina Manga Library. This episode was written and recorded by the Carolina Manga Library and edited by NoodleBoyMedia. You can find information about NoodleBoyMedia on all social networking sites. We return next month with What Do I Read Now? A set of recommendations for you for what to read next after that life-changing, super popular series that changed everything about you. Remember, if you're interested in supporting the library, consider becoming a patron. Our patrons get access to the podcast a day early, as well as behind-the-scenes fun like bloopers and transcripts. We are also on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Discord, YouTube, and Facebook. You can find links to all this on our website, www.carolinamangalibrary.com. So until next month, y'all, we'll see you in the stacks.